There he is. Hey, man. How goes it?
Good, everything's good. Thank God.
Am I actually calling Beit Shemesh Israel?
Yes, you are.
I'm Yisrael Chai, bro.
To you too.
L'chaim tovim uvroche.
Amen.
You know, I know you guys. I know you and your work from so many years. Love, love, love what you do. Um, you were the first, at least through my eyes. First of all, let me introduce myself. Cantor Ken Cohen the third.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you.
I think you must have been, I don't know, where did I see you live? You might have even come to my shul back in Greenwich, Connecticut, way back,
I, I did, I think.
or Stamford, somewhere in that area. I remember seeing you with some of my colleagues, and, I remember just, you brought me back to my childhood, man, the Alan Sherman records. But you did it with such a strong Yiddish ta'am, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very funny because Alan Sherman was definitely one of my influences, but also Tom Lehrer, Weird Al Yankovic, all those guys. And in the Jewish world, there was a group called Country Yossi and the Stiebelhoppers.
Yes, yes.
I knew about, but it's 28 years old. The band is 27 and a half years old right now.
Yeah, well, I'm 57, and I know when I was at the seminary, when I first started to dip into Jewish music big time, you guys were definitely on the scene in the late 70s, early 80s, right?
That's right. Actually, not late 70s. It was 86.
Oh, 86.
86 was our first album. Before that, I was with another band. It was like a contemporary Hebrew, let's call it Hasidic Top 40 album, where we did Hebrew music with a little bit of a rock edge before its time. Um, and but then I spun off in the middle of that time with this band called Kesher, Kesher.
Right.
I spun off to Shlock Rock, and Shlock Rock became a living in January '88. The first album came out in January '86.
All right.
Now
So,
there are 35 albums.
all right. So let me just tell you a little. That's amazing, by the way. That I want to hear the story because 27 years, 27 years of creating this for the Jewish people is quite a record. No pun intended on the word record. Uh, it's the thing I wanted to share with you and is a little bit about where this is coming from, and to thank you in advance for the recorded interview and for setting up your Skype, which I appreciate, and all those things. So the short of it is that I've been watching the conservative movement shrink, and I think it dropped 25% in 10 years. And as a, for the most part, conservative chazan, it saddens me to think that everything I've worked for is now sort of diminishing.
Right.
And so I was thinking of other ways to, well, actually I was thinking of, and then let's before I jump there. And so with that information, I started reaching out to some of my colleagues, many of whom, because of shrinking synagogue budgets, lost jobs, or their positions have been minimized. And I started to have conversations with them and found out that in the course of the conversations that I was inspired hearing their life story. I got to hear like their story, how they got into it, the lessons from being with communities and the perspectives. And then I realized, as I started to sort of expand to Rabbonim, spiritual guides, artists, Jewish singers, composers, songwriters, accompanists, painters, storytellers, that everyone who is passionately connected to Judaism creates at least when I hear their story, a spark. And the hope is that people will listen to those stories, their wisdom, and return to Judaism as a, as a sacred wisdom. Their heart will come back to re-explore it, because so many are running away from religion, particularly in the modern streams of Judaism. So I am grateful for you. Here you are now in Israel to have this conversation with me. Ultimately, I want it to be part of a book or a documentary, or initially a blog that will, start a conversation, because I'm all about, like, creating the wherewithal to reimagine ourselves and to find, just to contribute to a conversation, to start a conversation about what is going to animate the Jewish people, what's going to get them back into, the greatness. I'll leave you now with one story. I remember when I was a little boy, my story. My grandmother, blessed memory, used to take me to shul in the Rockaways during the summer. I had 2 weeks with her, and she'd say, let's go. And where my grandmother led, I followed, because she gave me unconditional love. And so I was blessed with that. She was an Orthodox Jew from the Bronx. And so I used to go with her to shul at 8 o'clock in the morning before the 9 o'clock service in this beautiful conservative shul on 120th in the Rockaways. And it was gorgeous, stained glass, women on top with balconies, and we'd sit in the middle quietly, for an hour before services. And I once asked her, I said, Grandma, why are we here? There's nobody here. She said, Tata Shana, we're here to pray before we pray.
That's a great story.
And so I was like sitting. These are the experiences that nurtured my soul when I grew up. And I know how powerful Judaism can be.
Right.
So let me ask you, tell me your story. Where did you grow up? The people in your life, how did they touch you? When did you start getting into Jewish music? And how did the band, you started to begin telling me about the evolution of the band, and I'm so curious.
Okay, so I am Orthodox from birth. Meaning, I grew up in a modern Orthodox community in Kew Gardens, Queens, and my family goes back generations of cantors, both sides of my mother's side, my father's side, cantors, and we always sang. I mean, so when I was 8 years old, we would go to my grandfather. We called him Zadie. We would go to him, my Zadie and my Bobby, and we would sing on Friday night. Now, he died when I was 9, so I didn't really have much. But I do remember him getting up and leading the congregation, and I do remember singing at his house on Friday night. And he was a very, good-natured, loving. All of them, my whole family. My parents, my father was interesting. He would, for 33 years, he was a cantor on the high holidays, and he did a lot of cantorial work in conservative synagogues. And I would go with him before Bar Mitzvah. Me and my brother would go to, we went to Milford, Connecticut. He did cantorial work in Milford, Connecticut. And then I remember going in 1967. I was 6 years old. I remember taking a plane. It was my first plane ride to Boston. The Boston Red Sox were playing the St. Louis Cardinals in the World Series. And I remember, I was 6 years old. How can I remember this? I don't know, but I do. And he had a job there. I think that was an Orthodox school, but I'm not sure. But it didn't really matter. I mean, singing, music was everything. And so I started taking accordion lessons at 8 years old. Everybody in the 60s took accordion lessons, unless they were too embarrassed to admit it. But it was a very popular instrument. And so from 1969 until 79, from 8 to 18, I took accordion lessons. Every Sunday morning, my father would take me to my teacher. His name was Cantor Moshe Katz. He also was a conservative cantor, interestingly enough, and he taught me music, and he taught a lot of my friends music. But I had a natural ability in music, and I grew up with all the music of the time, Ruach, the band Ruach, the Shlomo Kalbach, uh, um, Jet, Kol Salonika. There weren't that many groups back then, but I grew up with it, and I also obviously I had a knack to write music as well, and so I started writing. And so I'm going to fast forward. When I was 15 years old, I started taking piano at the same time. Now, accordion at this point was starting to become a laughing stock of an instrument, which it was for many, many years until Cajun music came back and klezmer music. There was a revival of klezmer music. But accordion, when you were 18 already, when I was 18, which was 1979, so I played accordion. I got a Cordavox, this electric accordion, and oh my God, what a schlep. You can imagine, I've been schlepping, I'm 52 now, so I'm schlepping forever. But I've been schlepping accordion. I just switched to keyboard and sound system. I just schlep sound systems now, and with my keyboard. But anyway, back in the day, so I took piano from 15 to 18. Then I went to Queens College. Now my dad said to me at that time, he said, Lenny, go get your master's in music. Go to Juilliard and become a musician full time. And what dad tells their kid to go into music full time? I mean, you got to be a doctor, a lawyer, computers, whatever it is. It's not musician. But my dad told me to be a musician, so what do you think I did? I didn't listen to him. I said, Dad, how am I going to make a living? When I went to Queens College, I became an accountant. But I took music. Music was my minor. I took 60 credits of music. I took 68 credits of accounting. Most of my college was music or accounting. And I finished in 1982, and I started working as an accountant. And also, by that time, I was already working with a band for NCSY, which was the Orthodox Youth Group. And I was the house band from 1981 to 88. I went to every region. I mean, the greatest thing about music was that I saw the world. I have seen the English-speaking world more than, I don't know how many people have seen it better than me, because I've been to 41 American states, Australia 7 times, South Africa 9 times, England, who knows how many times, Canada, every city except for Winnipeg. So it's one of the, in my next 2 years of schlocking, I want to go to the 9 states that I haven't been to, and Winnipeg. Those are my goals, and I will have done all 50 U.S. states. I'll have played every NBA city, every NHL city, every NFL city, and every Major League Baseball city. Once that happens, I can say, okay, it's a career. But anyway,
that's a lot.
Going back to 81 to 88, now I'm starting to do this. I'm playing music on weekends, and I'm doing accounting during the week. And quickly, I figure out that accounting is not going to be my career. Even though it took me a while to come to that. It took me 3 years to come to that. I flunked the CPA exam 4 times. And then I put out an album in 84 with my first band, Kesher. Once you put out that first album and you get on stage and you perform, it's over. It was over. It was music. That was it. Now, my boss said to me, Lenny, you're never going to be a great accountant or a great musician. You have to make a decision. Jump. Get off the fence. So I jumped. I gave him 6 months' notice in January 85. And I finished accounting in June of 85. I still do the books for my organization, for Shlock Rock Inc. and all my projects. But and I have it was a very good thing to do, because as a musician, usually we're terrible at business people. So I'm not saying I'm a great business person, but at least I have the accounting background, so I know whether or not I'm making money or not. Because it is a business at the end of the day, even though it's not really. It's really my life's work. Music is God's work. God gave me this career, which is unbelievable, and there's no explanation. People always ask me, how do I make it in Jewish rock and roll? And I look at them and I go, I don't know, because I don't know how I made it. All I know is that in 1986, when I put out the first Shlock Rock album, and the reason that I put it out was when I would go to these conventions, the people at these conventions would get up on chairs and they would sing rock songs with their own words. They would sing parodies to keep the kids interested in the Sabbath. Because as we both know, and you said it already in your introduction, if you don't love Judaism, you're walking away. That's what we know. That's what we're seeing. You have to have a love for who you are. You have to have a love for your roots. You have to You have to love the religion, or else you're gone. In today's world, there are a million choices. And if you don't have a fair shot, you don't have an education, a foundation, and if they don't make it fun, right? I have a friend of mine who just passed away, 52 years old. Unfortunately, he's a very brilliant man. But he never learned any Judaism. He went to Judaism, that graduated at Hebrew school. 13 years old, he was finished. He went to a Hebrew school and he finished. He never went back to it. But he always had a great feeling for Judaism. But that doesn't mean he ever attended synagogue except for once a year. And I think to myself, it's such a shame. He was, because it is a great religion. It is a great religion, and it is our religion, and it is our people. And, okay, so I'm getting on my pedestal. But, anyway, the point is that so they're getting on chairs and they're doing these things, and I said, I could do that. So I start writing my own parodies, and by December of '85 or so, I have 15 parodies, and I go into a studio with a friend of mine, and we go to the studio called 39th Street Music, which is the same studio where Ashford and Simpson did the song "Solid Like a Rock," Shaka Khan recorded, and I say to them, okay, I got a project, it's called Shlock Rock. How did I come up with the name? Came up with the name because Shlock, when I grew up, meant second hand. It was a Yiddish word that meant used. So the music is now used and the words are new. So that's how I got Shlock Rock. Everybody either loved the name or hated the name. Lots of people told me change the name. And I didn't listen. Because at the end of the day, it's your project. And one of the things that I always tell people, when people tell you to change the name, or they tell you to make changes, you can either turn around and listen to them, or you can say to them, when you make your own album, you can do it your way. But this is what I'm doing. And I don't know, and Shlock Rock was what came to me. It was what it needed to be called, Shlock Rock. People always had an opinion. They were never apathetic. It was either I love this or I hate this, which is great because they're always talking about you, even though it's terrible to get criticism. And that's one of the things that as a musician, when you put out product, you have to learn to be able to, somebody comes up to you and says, I didn't like this album. My God, I spent 4 months working on it and another 6 months recording it, and you just walk up to me and you say, I don't like it. Imagine these people that make these $40 million movies and people pan it after one viewing, and it's the worst thing they've ever seen. I mean, it's pretty sad. I think about it. I'm luckily on a much lower level financially, but anyway, so
this is it. Yeah, it's something. If I could interrupt for 2 seconds, tell me about there's a sacred quality to the creative process. That when someone puts their neshama into something, and when someone creates something that moves them, there's a spark of the divine that I see, that each person holds, and so this creative expression represents that. So tell me a little bit about, that. Tell me a little bit about what goes into your process.
Okay, right. So that has been with me forever. Because when you write, it is a spiritual process. You are connecting to the pipeline above. God is shuffling down ideas into your head. It's kind of like you're receiving input. Now, you can write input about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. You can receive input about that. You can write about things that are not clean, or you can write about spiritual things. Somehow, I always, I wrote about Jewish things. I don't even know, it was my upbringing. I had a great bunch of friends. We were always looking to pushing the envelope. Because everybody is singing this, and now we're going to sing it this way. And that was one of the things that did it. But even from 1984, when I put out that first album with my other band, I wrote 17. We had 3 albums, that other band, and I wrote 17 out of the 28 songs. I wrote a song while I was sleeping. It came to me in the middle of the night. I woke up, wrote it down, went back to sleep, and the next day I tried it out with my friends. So I've had experiences like that. But I've had greater experiences. I'll get to you. That's the stuff that I've really, the creation. I've written 2 musicals. I mean, right now, my latest project is called Daniel in Babylon. It's a full-length biblical rock opera on the book of Daniel. And I'm bringing it to Broadway. That's what I'm in the process of doing. This is, I call it Lenny Solomon 2.0, where it's the next step after Shlock Rock, which I'm not saying Shlock Rock is finishing, but, 27 and a half years and 35 albums, we are in the process of, I'd like to say, evolving. And I've written 2 musicals, but the second one is I'm in the process of taking it to Broadway, and we're going to see what the world thinks of the Book of Daniel very shortly.
Wow.
Sometime in the year 2014. But even going back to '86, the great stuff, that first album, we went into the studio. So I said to them, we want to record an album. They said, okay, it's $180 an hour. I said, you can't afford $180 an hour. They said, okay, you work from midnight to 8 a.m., we'll give it to you for $60 an hour. We'll give you an engineer, assistant engineer, and a slave. I said, what's a slave? They said, a slave you send out for coffee at 4 in the morning. I said, okay. So we worked from December, the whole month of December, 68 hours in the studio, and we recorded Shlock Rock Learning is Good. The album came out. It had on it stuff like a Barbanel. Barbanel. And born in the USA, now I'm making Aliyah today. So I wrote that in 1985, but I didn't make Aliyah until 1996. I didn't move to Israel until 96. So even though I wrote the song 11 years before, because it was always in my gut to eventually move to Israel, and I tour now. I tour 3 to 4 months a year, 6 to 8 trips a year. I just came back from a summer camp tour. We played 8 summer camps, including one in Little Rock, Arkansas. That was our 41st state. But anyway, so this first album comes out, and it's a little, it comes out, and there's some people, what is this stuff? What are you doing? Rock and roll. How could you take rock and roll and put you, the Barbanel would be rolling in his grave if he knew what you did to his song. And of course, I'm getting stuff like that. And then I get this letter from a lady who writes, Dear Lenny, my brother, who hates everything about Judaism, is listening to your music 24 hours a day. Keep up the good work. And I said, maybe that's what this is for. And it was at that point, I got 1 or 2 letters like that. And I said, that's what Shlock Rock is for. And I started working on album number 2, which had it in a Michael Jackson song. It had it Under the Chuppah, which has been used by every denomination in weddings. Under the chuppah is where they'll be, yeah, right? And it was an amazing thing. And the greatest thing that I always say is, and this is how I know this was God's work, because I never put a cent into advertising. How do you become a full-time Jewish rock musician? From 1988 in January till 1996, I did 100 concerts a year all over the world. Never stopped. I didn't do anything else. 88 to 96 until I made Aliyah. No advertising. The phone just rang off the hook. God did my advertising for me. So people say, how do I make it? So there's 2 ways to make it. One is if you have a ton of money, you bombard the industry with your product, but we didn't have any money. Or you take your stuff like you're a vacuum cleaner salesman, like you're an encyclopedia salesman, you go from shtetl to shtetl, and you play in each city, and you sell your discs or you sell your cassettes. And back in the day, it was the cassettes. We only made cassettes, right? And then I started working on number 2 and number 3, and finally, now there are 15 parody albums, 14 original music albums, and 6 preschool albums. And now everything is being sold on the line with MP3s and downloads. You have to adjust to the times. So the career was all God, and I'm watching now as he transitions me to theater. I believe that's where we're heading. I believe. But, I can only do, but it all came to me. If you talk about the creative process, throughout the years, I got different ideas. So like Lenny and the Shlockers came out in 1990, and it's different song ideas, different content. I think I've written about every subject except for mikvah, because it's too touchy a subject, frankly. Although I had a really nice parody. Shemesh, I went down through the bath on about a Saturday night, but I never wrote that. Anyway, I wrote it, I just never recorded it. But that you get these ideas, and what it does is it brings. I remember playing Achashverosh in 1987. We wrote Achashverosh. The original song is Amadeus, that from the soundtrack of the Amadeus movie, Mozart movie. And even today, kids go crazy. They hear it. They jump up and down. They mosh. It makes them come to life. Nowadays, we use the Black Eyed Peas, and we use Lady Gaga. And I got my own original music, and we play that too. I'd like to play that more than my parodies, but sometimes The people need to hear the music for the masses, because pop music is music for the masses. So, and that's really, in a nutshell, it's been a great ride. I've got great stories. I mean,
Let me hear. Let me hear. Tell me those stories. I'm so curious.
a couple of interesting stories. 1987, I'm in Australia, in Melbourne, doing a seminar called Counterpoint. Counterpoint is a 7-day seminar for 10th graders and 11th graders in Australian Jewish schools. And the name of the school is King David. It's a big school with lots of kids. And we're at this seminar, and I'm a musician with a team of people that have come to give sessions to make them feel good about Judaism. And somehow I'm meeting people who don't believe in God. This is an interesting story. A lot of these kids, they're 15 years old. I don't believe in God. I don't believe in God. I don't believe in nobody believes in God, right? So I wrote this song at the end of the seminar. I don't believe in God. He pointed out to me. And why I pray at all is hard for me to see. These were all their words that came to me, and it became a song. And at the end of the seminar, I played it for them. And I called that name of the song Lost Souls. Because if they would just give it a chance, maybe they would be able to see a different side. And maybe they did at the end of the day. I mean, it's 25 years later, 26 years later. I have other great stories where...
Let me ask you one question. You I have many questions, but, connection to God. You talked about your family. You talked about growing up where, music was vibrant, that, and that you had a support group of people around you. Tell me about your strongest connections to God. Where do you see God in your life, and where do you experience God? The most powerful moments. I would love to hear about that.
Oh, I got some great God stories. But God, I've written so many songs about God in the Shlock Rock series.
Are they from personal experience?
Yes, I believe God talks to me every day. And I believe God is communicating. I believe God is directing. He's testing me. He's watching me. He's talking to me. And, other people feel, oh, come on. God has better things to do. There's two trends of thought. Either God is involved in every single aspect of your life, or, come on, you're created. God was involved in that. He's in charge. Bottom line is, he's running the world. You're not. Who are you? Right? He's not really involved in life. But I don't see it that way. I see it that God talks to me. God sends us email. God sends us text messages through people. Anytime anything happens to you, they are a conduit in the hands of God. God is sending them to you to talk. And what are they saying? I remember when I got pulled over by two speed. This is an interesting story. Driving back from Norfolk, Virginia, Chesapeake Bay Bridge, beautiful. But you lose track of where you are and you're speeding. So I'm going too fast. I get pulled over by a policeman, and I turn over. And it was my second ticket in 2 hours. I got pulled over once. I got pulled over a second time. 2 different states. And I turned to the police officer and I go, what is God? I said, I just lost concentration for 5 seconds. What is God trying to tell me? And the officer turns around to me. He's trying to tell you to slow down, son. Right? And I said, oh, yeah, that is what he's trying to tell me. God is talking to me, and he's talking to me from that God. No, unfortunately, I had to pay the fine. But that was the message. Right? I've had other instances where sometimes I feel, oh, this group of people does not like my music. And I start feeling, I don't like them. They don't like my music. And I'm davening mincha in this yeshiva. I'm thinking, these guys, they don't respect me. They don't like my music. Right after we finish praying, the afternoon service, this guy comes over to me and says, I am your biggest fan. I love your music. Right? And I go, oh, I guess I shouldn't judge, So that was another example where I believe God is, he's funneling people up. Okay, stop with the judgments, with the prejudgments. Stop projecting. Why don't you just take everything as it is? Treat people like you would want to be treated. Don't jump to conclusions, right? And so I get that all the time. Sometimes It's very funny. I'm working on building the sukkah outside. I accidentally hit my hand with a hammer. And I'm jumping around. Oh, God, why'd you do that to me? And some people were laughing. What are you talking about? But it's from God. I mean, although it was me. It was my carelessness, right? But so there's always two different ways to look at it. But I actually see God in every aspect. I have an album, which I put out in 2001 called God Sent Us Email. And on there, there's a song called Spiritual DVD, which talks about that you live your life and you don't know that everything that you say and do is being recorded. And at the end of 120 years, they're going to pop this spiritual DVD where everybody not only is going to be able to see what you did, they're going to be able to hear your thoughts. That's what the Midrash says. That's what the Kabbalists say. But you've got to even account for your thoughts. Well, forget it. That's why they say that on the day of passing, the 120 years, those 3 days, the judgment days, they're the most embarrassing moments for the soul because we're here, we're human beings. We can't be perfect people. It's very difficult, But so that's a very serious side to the music, and you can't make it so serious. You have to lighten it up.
Wow. So it almost. So it sounds like you've tackled some pretty heavy subjects in a very humorous way.
I don't even know if yeah, I guess you would say they're lighter.
Yeah. So it's interesting. So when you tackle something about cheshbon hanefesh,
right.
and you talk about the accounting of the soul, which comes first? Does the idea come and then you find the suitable music, or does the music spur the idea, or they come at the same time? Or
depends. If I'm writing my own music, if I'm writing my own music, the odds are the words will come with. They could come together. The music could come first. The lyrics come first. I don't know. I think it depends. I think it depends on where I am, what moment I'm in. When you write a parody, it's totally different. So when you're writing a song parody, we've written around 100. I've written around 150 or 160 song parodies. There are 15 albums of song parodies. Figure 10 albums of 10 songs on each album. I don't know the exact amount. I do know that there are 467 Shlock Rock songs, including parody and original music. That I do know over the 35 albums. So it's a lot of stuff.
So are you inspired by an idea? Something touches you?
Yes, 100%.
So in other words, it's a life experience.
Yes, so sometimes a life experience. Sometimes I do research on, let's say, Rabbi Akiva. Let's take the song parody of Rabbi Akiva, which I wrote about to Lady Madonna from the Beatles. Rabbi Akiva, students at his feet, up in Gan Eden, you've got a front row seat. Water was running, it rocket made a dent. It made you think it's never too late to repent, right? Now, what's very interesting about that song is that in order to write it, I had to do a lot of research on who was Rabbi Akiva. Who was it? What was his story? And then you have to jigsaw puzzle it into a parody. You can't just write your own words and steal their song. That's not what legal song parody is. Legal song parody is, and that's what Alan Sherman was great at, and Tom Lehrer is just outstanding. Tom Lehrer and Weird Al. Weird Al's one of the most biggest geniuses that there is. If you take a look at his lyric compared to the original lyric, and I aspire to that.
Yeah, where is that genius? Explain. Tell me, like, where do you see?
I'll give you an example for Weird Al, and then I'll give you an example for me where I just love so proud of certain lyrical moves. But Weird Al in the song Living in America, right? Song from Rocky III, James Brown. James Brown is performing it, and he changes it to Living with a Hernia. Talks about all the different types of hernias you can get. And in the middle, James Brown would scream rapture, and he screams rupture. Now, that is, it's such brilliance you can't even describe it. So I'll give you an example of one of my favorites. I did the song Summer Loving from Greece. Summer Loving had me a blast, right? And I changed it to Some Who Love Him Don't Really Last. Some who love him don't really last. Some who love him get dry very fast. Hammers whirled after Yom Kippurim. Had to buy the Arba Minim. Sukkot days coming today. Gonna sleep in my sukkah tonight. Right? Every single
Woo!
lyric. Right? And it could be so simple. It could be Tequila. I just heard a sound named Tequila, and suddenly my life will never be the same again. Right? Because, and what you're doing is, you talk about Tikkun Olam. I look at it like I am rectifying the original song. So Leonard Bernstein of West Side Story is writing Maria, and I'm writing Tequila, and I'm talking about repentance. So there's that, and then there's light moments also as well. But I look every lyric when you write a legal song parody has to be, not only does it have to be a satire, not only does it have to be educational, but it also has to, sound like the original. As if the original artist would have been a Jew who wanted to write this. He's not writing about this thing now. He's writing about something else, and but he's got to keep the same lyrical timbre, the same meter, and it makes it much different than writing an original song. When you write an original song, it's strictly from God coming down. When you're writing a parody, it's jigsaw puzzle work. It's a lot of education. You're getting input because you're learning about what you're going to write about, and then you have to jigsaw puzzle it into the original lyric.
So this is great. This is great. I mean, those are stunning. Those are really stunning examples, and you can't but like when you start singing that stuff, because of the history that I have within Judaism, it's like it brings such a warm, like, deep feeling. I mean, it's almost like we're going over camp pictures together of when we were 15, because it's so deep seated, and then to hear that the way you touch the heart is so big. So what was it that drove you, or what is it, since it's a current project, that drove you or was sent to you, emailed to you by God regarding Daniel? Why Daniel, and what are you called to write?
So Daniel in Babylon, I was in Phoenix, Arizona last year, and this rabbi said to me, Lenny, I just taught Daniel to my class. Take a look at the story. So I took a look at the story, and I said, my God, this is theater. This is drama, compelling. And it started gelling, and it took a hold of me. And from April 1st to May 31st of last year, 2012, I sat at my piano every day from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And it came down. And it didn't just come down, it came down in order. I worked my way through the first 6 chapters of Daniel, which is his life, his relationship with King Nebuchadnezzar. We call it Nebuchadnezzar in Hebrew, but in English it's Nebuchadnezzar. And Belshazzar, the famous story of the handwriting on the wall. And Daniel getting thrown in the lion's den. That's the finale of the musical. And, I don't know what happened. I don't know why. It was the same thing with Shlock Rock. I have no idea. But all I know is that it came to me so clearly, it was frightening. And at the end of that May 31st, when I finished the first draft, an hour and 45-minute rock opera, where there's no talking, it's all singing, just like Joseph, just like Hair. I walked around the room crying. I said, "Oh my God, what have I done?" And I said, now I got to take this on a journey, and it's already been since it's been already a year and 3-4 months.
Yeah.
And why Daniel? I think because it's the time that we're living in. What's going on in the world now? People are saying everything is me. God, what about God? We don't need God. We have science. We have everything. But God is involved in science. God is involved in math. God is involved in everything, right? And the message of the book of Daniel is the God of Daniel is the living God. He was, he is, and he will always be. That's the message. So the message is that God is alive. And I think that's why he sent it to me. And I think that's why this musical is going to succeed. Because he sent it to me to spread the word that Daniel is very relevant to every Jew and every non-Jew. And it's God awareness. And I think that's the secret to this. we'll have to see, because it's, we're still. I hope to have an announcement in the next month or two that we have a theater and we have an opening date sometime in 2014. We are negotiating that right now, but
how exciting! How exciting!
It's unbelievably exciting because it's something I've never done. Because I've been on stage 2,000 times, but I'm not going to be on stage in this. This is where I'm the writer, and I'm hoping that that's going to be my next career, where I write much more than, I don't mind performing. I love performing, obviously, but to be honest with you, writing is what gives me the most pleasure, and the reason it does is because it's creative. Because it's exactly what we've talked about. It's the creating. It's that inspiration and putting it down and expressing yourself. And
so you feel that you feel the inspiration clearly, like in the example you just gave when you went to that when that teacher said we're studying the book of Daniel, and you found a spark somewhere in that conversation to follow it up, and then you found yourself in the text. So,
right.
So I have two things. So was it that conversation which led you to then discover more deeply what it was in Daniel, and how, and what was it like to discover the different ways in which you could, I'm guessing part of it is the different ways in which you could have the story express entry points into feeling spirit, into feeling the divine in their life. Like, did you reflect, as you read the story, did you reflect upon your own experience of what that felt like and what that was? Or did the story itself speak plainly enough that people could sense what that was? And how does the music then bring that? I know it's a kind of an involved question, but...
Well, the story is very, very exciting. His life, and it wasn't great. It wasn't a really tremendous happy life. He wasn't. He didn't live like this happy ending life. He lived during the time of the Solomon's Temple, right? The first Beit HaMikdash was about to be destroyed, right? He gets exiled as a boy, or is it? He's anywhere from 10 to 17. Let's call it. He gets exiled to the courtyard of Babylon, where he's gets trained for 3 years to be advisor to the King Nebuchadnezzar, right? And while he's in Babylon, the first temple is destroyed. Nebuchadnezzar destroys Solomon's temple. Can you imagine the trauma? I mean, he's alive during the temple. So think about it. Who is he? Who is Daniel? He is the prototype man of exile. We have been in exile for 2,000 years, right? Since the second temple was destroyed. That's 1943 years, right? And we don't even know what it means. What does a temple mean? What does it mean? That when King Solomon was in charge, there was 60,000 people coming for every meal at the temple. It's a lot of catering. But 60,000 people, and they were non-Jews. They weren't just Jews. This wasn't for the Jew. We were the chosen, right? The idea of being the chosen, what does that mean? Nobody really knows, because we're now in this world, 1943 years later, where, what does that mean? What does being the chosen mean? I think that the book of Daniel was what he had to experience was what we were going to have to experience. And that's why I think it talked to me, the whole story. And then he has to, the first thing they tell him is he's going to drink from the king's wine and eat from the king's food. So what does he do? He says, you take the king's food, just give us seeds. We'll eat seeds. Because he doesn't want to eat non-kosher food, right? He doesn't want to eat non-kosher. And they look at him and they go, come on, you got to be serious. Please. He says, you're joking, right? The king, you're going to get puny, and the king is going to take it out on me. This is the guy says. It's all in the musical in Act 1, Scene 1. And he has to figure out how to maneuver, how to talk to them, And so it's 63 years. The musical spans 63 years. By the time the musical's over, Daniel's in his either mid-70s or mid-80s. I think he's in his mid to late 70s. And he gets thrown into the lion's den. But he spends his entire life yearning to go back to Jerusalem. It's another thing we forgot.
All right, talk to me Talk to me about your move to Israel. That was in '96.
Yes. So why do people move to Israel? That's a very good question. The answer is it's in your gut. I've come to the conclusion. Because a lot of people can do it. It's hard, but a lot of people can do it. It has to be in your gut. It's got to be, I got to get there. And somehow it was in my gut. I have a wife and 4 daughters. Leah and Hara, thank God. And that was where we were going to be. I met my wife in Israel, actually. And we got married in Israel. We went back to America for 4.5 years where I ran around saving money so we could buy a house. And then we moved in '96. I had 2 daughters at that time, and we've had another 2 since.
Nice.
So we live here, and I tour. We make it work, and
what's it like? What's it like to finally be there? What's it like to make the leap? First of all, from America to Israel, and as far as adjustment, both tachlitic in terms of sustenance, but also what was it like for you to come back?
So, in the beginning, the first 6 months of your adjustment, you say to yourself, what did I do? There are times when you turn around, oh my God, what have I done? Because you gotta figure out how to beg, you gotta figure out how to pay bills. I can tell you a funny story where I was driving my car. We got a car, but I didn't get it inspected because I didn't read the fine print. I just paid the bill for the inspection. So I'm driving for 11 months. This is 2 years into my aliyah. I'm driving for 11 months on this with the what's it called? The license and registration. The registration doesn't have the inspection sticker. The guy, it's a random check. A police officer takes a look at it. He starts yelling at me. Ishtagata? Are you crazy? And I look at him. I go, what are you talking about? He goes, where's your inspection sticker? I said, what inspection sticker? I paid the bill. And so this is all stuff that you have to adjust. Because you're not living in a country where English is the first language, even though everybody speaks English, everybody does. But you still got to learn Hebrew a little bit. Now, I knew Hebrew. I just didn't read the fine print. So I ended up having to take it for an inspection, 11 months after that. And then I learned, right? So the first 6 months of that is the adjustment. But after that, nothing. It's no problem at all. It's really amazing. And you know where you really feel it? I'll tell you where you really feel it. Hanukkah time, where you see only menorahs, right? There's no jingle bell medleys in the malls. There's no carols coming in. This is Israel. So you got Hanukkah, you got Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, everything. And everybody's off for the holidays. You don't have to worry about taking off. A lot of people say, I can't take off for Sukkot because I just took off 2 days for Rosh Hashanah, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I can't take off another Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But everybody's off for Sukkot. The entire holiday, everybody's off. It's party time. There's concerts left and right. There's things to do. People going on Tulim, like they're going to see all over Israel. That's where you feel, oh man, this is my country. This is where I belong, and you live for that stuff. Israeli Independence Day, unbelievable. But even the day before that, when it's Memorial Day, when they're flashing the names of everybody that gave their life for the country, and you feel sad, and then from there it goes into this happiness. It's
what's it like? I love it. I just love it. I've been to Israel several times. I lived there while I was going to school there in '76. I've come back a few times, but not enough for my soul. Definitely not enough for my soul. So you really made the commitment. You really went back. Something compelled you in your kishka to be back here. So what is it like to have children who are going from Miluim? What is it like to actually, that to me, I mean, like I realized late in life that freedom isn't free. And yet, there's nothing more precious than our children. And so, I know I'm making a more serious leap, but I mean, I remember my mother saying to me during the war in Vietnam, I had like a high number, and I was blessed that way in one of the years. when I actually got my turned 18. She goes, "Don't worry, we're going to Canada." But
Right.
you know,
Right.
but you know, it's like she said, "You're not going to war. You're not going there." And so, what is it like for your children, for you? I mean, it must be very hard.
Well, the people. Remember, I have four daughters, and they all do national service. Well, the two youngest ones are 10 and 8, so we're not talking about that. I have a 20-year-old and an 18-year-old daughter who are doing national service. So they don't do army; they're doing voluntary in hospitals. That's what we're doing. It's equivalent to army for women. You can do army, and there are more and more people doing army as girls, obviously, do army as well. But I'll just tell you from my friends who have lots of boys that go. I mean, they're nervous, but they're also incredibly proud. When I told my father I was moving to Israel, I think this will bring it home. When I told my father, may he rest in peace, he died 12 years ago. When I told him that I was making the move to Israel, he said to me, "You know, obviously we want you here with us, but my father," he said to me, "my Zaydi, would have done anything to end up in Israel from Poland. He went from Poland to East New York, right? But he wanted to go from Poland to Israel but couldn't get the paperwork. He said he would have been so proud of you." And that's the pride. It's the Jewish pride. You're part of the state of Israel. You're going to the army. God will protect you, hopefully, and hopefully there won't be any war. You know, so far, thank God it hasn't been outrageous the last couple of years. They're just doing their army service and they finish, and then you do your miluim, your 2 weeks a year or your 3 weeks a year, and it's just to keep you in shape. And it's hard. It's hard for the parents, but you do it because it's your place. It's your country. It's your. You have to contribute. It's exactly what you said. Freedom is not free. Freedom is not free. You can't just, But,
So in Beit Shemesh, do you feel the war when it was there? Do you feel the pain of the country?
you feel the pain. Thank God we haven't had the. I don't want to open up my mouth. Tempt.
Yes. Yeah.
We haven't had any situations where we had to run into sealed rooms.
Good.
It's down south or it's been up north. We're central. We're actually in Shemesh. For those of you that don't know, is a 35-minute car ride from Jerusalem and a 45-minute car ride from Tel Aviv. It's kind of like Middle Israel. But we're like 25 minutes from here, 35 minutes from here, an hour from here.
Yeah.
If you want to go to a bus, it's 4 hours. If you want to go to the spot, it's 3 hours. So that's the other direction. So you're really center country.
Is that why you picked it? Because of its central locale?
No, we moved there because my wife had friends. You always go because your wife has friends. The guy really needs friends. The wife, she has to have friends. So we moved here because our friends were here.
Talk to me.
That's a great city.
Yeah, that's great. That's what is it about the city that you love?
Well, first thing is, when I moved, there were 25,000 people, and now there are 93,000. We're watching it really explode. Beit Shemesh and Ramat Beit Shemesh. Ramat Beit Shemesh didn't exist when I moved to Israel. It opened up like a half a year after I had moved. It became, real. And what I love is that we have lots of friends. We have tons of friends who all came from either America, Canada, South Africa, Australia, England, wherever they were called Anglos. And we all are on the same page. We're all on the same page. A lot of people joke around. They call it Little America. It is. Like, it's like, where do you go? You go where the people are. But on the other hand, we could have easily gone to a place like Rehovot and assimilated more into the Israeli culture. Haven't really done that so much. But my Hebrew has gotten better, although my accent does not. And, it's the place to be. It's the place for every Jew. That's what I've written a million songs. I just quoted one of my songs. So
So when let me. I have to wind down, unfortunately, but I would love to continue at some point. I'm just like um, I'm grateful, by the way, for you opening up and sharing, your heart and your story, and your wisdom. Uh, it's very moving to see uh, people who walk the talk, and how much you've strengthened the Jewish people. I'm really curious. I guess when I think back, uh, and you sort of enumerated it: 475 plus songs, 30 something plus albums, 27 years. I would love to hear some of the feedback that you remember from people over the years. You shared some of it, and I would love to know how you've touched the Jewish heart. And here you are now, and I'm so thrilled that you're writing stuff now, which is more expansive and right where you want to be. Thinking about larger sacred musical dramas, which is much different than writing a song. It's a bigger, expansive piece. It's you're taking people on a journey. At some point I'd love to hear about what that's going to mean. But I am curious about like you talked. I know I'm kind of rambling, but you talked a little bit about getting feedback and how sensitive you were to the creative process. But in all those years, what do you notice about your work and what it's meant for the Jewish people? Can you give me a little reflection on? And then in the same breath, what do you want to be, Ad Mea Ve'esrim, right? Remembered for what, like, if you were to write, and that's one of my students, when I ran a cantorial school, and I used to say to my chazanim, I said, at the end of days, what do you want to be known for? What is your cantorate going to be about? What do you want it? What difference do you want it to make in the world? So I'd love to hear that piece as well. How have you touched people, and more importantly, what do you want your work to really stand for in the Jewish world?
So,
or in the world?
Do you want this for now, or is this for our next Skype session?
Well, give me a short version. Maybe how about the feedback, and maybe start with it.
What it's come down to at this point is that I get stopped at airports, at pizza places, and people want to take pictures with me because I've been their childhood. They've grown up with me. I played weddings. I don't usually play weddings, but I played this one wedding in Baltimore. And came down. I came off the bandstand, and they said, we grew up with a picture of you on our walls. Would you please take a picture of us? But really, what do I want to be known for? I want to be known that I taught people to love Judaism, to like their heritage, to like who they are. That's what my music is for. And that's why when I hear that somebody's not using it in a classroom, I think it should be used in every classroom across the spectrum. Somebody should be using a song a month to back up whatever they're teaching. I've written about it. I guarantee it, I've written about it. Whether it be the prophets, whether it be the Bible, whether it be this or that, whatever it is, I've written about it. I want them to use it. I want them to use it in classrooms. Because what it does is it makes people smile. And if you smile, that's your first step. You're not going to like it you're not going to like Judaism if it's forced down your throat. And you're not going to like Judaism if it's a chore. I don't believe there should be any tests in any Jewish subjects at all. Just teach what it is. It's not a subject. It's your life. It's your people. It's who you are. Shlock Rock. And that's what I love about Shlock Rock. Is I was listening today to an album I hadn't heard in a couple of years, and I'm thinking, man, this is really good. I can't believe I wrote this. And oh my God, this song and this song and this song. And that was a preschool album I had written. I wrote, because I have 4 daughters, I wrote a preschool album for each one of my daughters. So I have Shlock Rock for Kids, it's called. Actually, I was listening to the 4th one today, and I was, oh my man, this is unbelievable. It's not being used enough. So that's it's not being used enough. People don't know about it enough, because I've written too much. I've written too much, but I can't help it. It came out of it. And I don't know what, so where do I want to be? What do I want to be known for? I want to be known as a person that spread the love of Judaism to everybody, to all the Jewish people. You started off our interview by saying that most of, and I'm going to give it a percentage, 90% of the people, of the Jewish people, don't really know what they're not really in. They're not really on board. And my job is to help them like their heritage, and that's what I want to be known for. And that's why I'm not done, because my plan is to keep writing. But this time we're going to get bigger. We're going to go to video. We have to give people alternatives to great sitcoms like Friends and like Seinfeld, and we have to give them we have to give them dramas. We have to give them things to think about in the Jewish realm. It's not happened yet. It hasn't happened yet. And that's what I want. I want to go there. I want to go there in music, and I want to go there in theater. I want to go there in movies, and I want to go there in television shows. I want to go there in variety shows and holiday specials. We're not doing anything. We're not doing enough. Then I want people every Hanukkah, they're going to turn on, the Shlock Rock Hanukkah special, or whatever we're going to call it. It doesn't have to be Shlock Rock. I don't care. Whatever you want to call it. We're going to watch this Hanukkah special. And they're going to say, yeah, I'm proud to be a Jew. That's who I am. That's my people. And that's my, I can give you, in the next conversation we have, I'll try to put together a list of stories that I have, where people told me different things, but...
This was great. Thank you. Thank you. Your heart is open, and you've opened my heart, and I can't thank you. This is an honor. This is a great honor. And you inspired me, man. I feel inspired from that, we're kindred spirits, We know how big the Jewish heart is, and we want to share it. And it's really... I just love, so many things you said. I just got to tell you, to be able to say, and I've never heard this before, among other things you've said, that we should never test on any Jewish subject. You are so right, because it's all about, that's it. It's all about how do you take a way of living and make it beautiful for people and show them the greatness of it.
Right. It's not a course. It's not a course.
Yeah, it's not a course.
It's life.
That was beautiful.
You can't test. You have to just give it.
Listen, for you and your family, stay safe. And,
thank you.
And I will definitely email you. I will hopefully set up something soon. Such a pleasure.
Same here, and it was a pleasure talking to you. And have a great Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. And maybe I'll be in California next year. We'll get together. I would love to get together. I'll take you out for lunch and show you all the kosher places in Pico and Roberson. I love it. All right. Take care, man. Thank you. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.